in the studio, and to discuss with you will be my brother, senior brother, Brother Sekalima Hamza, who happens to be a lecturer at University of IUIU. I want to invite him and say salam to you, and his some kind of welcome remarks. Then we shall be introducing the aspect that we are going to be handling this evening. Brother Sekalima, please.
Our viewer, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
We welcome you to this show, and we pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give us the benefit expected out of it, especially since we are covering an area that has been of much benefit to the world, and that is science and technology. And unfortunately, our participation as a community is still low, but we see that slowly by slowly we are coming up with a number of scientific innovations in the Muslim world, some of which we shall be looking at their benefit today and possibly in the later show, inshallah.
Barakallahu fikum for that kind of introductory remark. This evening, we are continuing another segment in line with beneficial technology, and this evening we shall be looking at the aspect of defense industry. So in Islam, we are encouraged to be not be offensive but defensive. But given the kind of technology that has evolved ever since the times of the Prophet, so many things have changed in the world, and as Muslims we are encouraged to keep pace of what is happening in the entire world. So in this regard, Muslim countries and other individuals have made certain contributions, some innovations in this aspect, and they have been able to come up with some kind of innovations in the sphere of being defensive. So in the event that we have been attacked as a Muslim country or so, how can we be able to defend ourselves? How can we be able to defend our sovereignty and so on and so forth? So in this aspect, we are going to look at the issue of, we can call it the space technologies, where we have things to do with drones and like what the leaders in Turkey are doing and the country at large. Then maybe if time allows, we shall be seeing another kind of aspect. So Brother Sekalima, I want to invite you, and we start right away in regard to the issue of being defensive in Islam. How is it looked at? Because oftentimes we have been accused of being aggressors, in quotes, yet in the actual sense, many times we have been bombarded so many times, and we want to defend ourselves, but maybe we are either incapacitated in terms of the technology that we are using, but in the event that we have maybe some kind of technology that we can devise and be able to defend ourselves. How is that? How is the issue of being defensive in Islam generally?
Okay, alhamdulillah. Now, one thing we should note is that war is generally looked at negatively within the Sharia of Islam, because it involves people dying and a lot of other negative things that come out of wars. But we are equally not permitted to simply sit like ducks and wait to be killed, yet we are under attack. So there is a balance there. You are not permitted to attack others, but you are also instructed to defend yourself in the event of an attack.
Not the kind of talk they usually say that Jesus was slapped this and also.
So we don't agree with the if you are hit on one cheek, you turn the other, because it's not a very natural and human way of living. Because ultimately the human being is designed to defend themselves. So there are two emotions. You have either flight or fight. Those are the two biological responses that a person can have. So the Sharia of Islam has made the issue of defending oneself as one of the very noble acts. Actually, it is one of the maximum of the noble acts. Meaning, a person that dies while defending the religion of Allah in a battle, that person is regarded as a shaheed, and that is nearly the maximum of reward that a person can be able to get.
Exactly.
The other thing is that, for example, if you are attacked by a robber in your home and you die in the process of fighting off this person, meaning protecting your marry, then in that case you get the reward of a shaheed, the same way as one that has died in a situation of battle.
So meaning people shouldn't just leave their wealth be taken just anyhow.
Exactly. So defense of wealth is one of those things that we regard as dear to the life of a Muslim, so you should be able to come out and defend yourself. But particularly regarding the issue of war, we have said you are not permitted to initiate any kind of attack against an individual or a society that has not attacked you. That is direct instruction from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To the level that even if you are attacked, but the attacking group withdraws and stops their attack, you are immediately ordered to also cease your attack. Of course, the ayah in Surah Al-Baqarah is saying, فَإِنِ انْتَهَوْا فَلَا عُدْوَانَ إِلَّا عَلَى الظَّالِمِينَ. So you are not permitted in any way to conduct any kind of attack. But because preparation for war is one way of guaranteeing peace, we are instructed in Surah Al-Anfal, the ayah is number 60, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us, وَأَعِدُّوا لَهُمْ مَسْتَطَعْتُمْ مِنْ قُوَّةِ وَمِنْ رِبَاطِ الْخَيْلِ. What is the purpose of that? تُرْهِبُونَ بِهِ عَدُوَّ اللَّهِ وَعَدُوَّكُمْ. So meaning, even before you actually do the combat itself, you are supposed to essentially prepare yourself. Because preparation is one of the things that may possibly avert war. Actually, some of the best military writers say that the best general is the one that has capacity to win a war without fighting it.
Of course, because you have saved lives.
Meaning, if you can be able to win a war without necessarily fighting, then you are regarded as the best general. But one way you can win a war without fighting is by portraying to the enemy that the war does not have any chance of them winning. So therefore, for the Muslim countries or in the Muslim world, technologies that have been able to give that kind of umbrella to some specific Muslim countries, we are going to be looking at them now, and we shall look at some of the other technologies that have given an advantage. They are not deterrent, but they give an advantage when defending oneself. The very first of this technology is the technology of nuclear weapons. So within the Muslim world, you only have one particular country that has the nuclear weapons, and that country is Pakistan. So Pakistan started building their nuclear program possibly because of being surrounded by countries that are not necessarily very friendly. So meaning at any given moment you would think anytime I can be attacked and I need to be able to prevent. The way nuclear weapons work, they are so destructive that they are not perceived as active weapons of war. Their main purpose is what we call deterrence. Deterrence means present to the enemy a picture that do not waste time coming to fight, because what will happen after it is unpleasant. So meaning you prevent the war by portraying an impossible possibility. And that's what all the countries that have nuclear weapons are currently doing. Meaning...
So it is a kind of, when you have a nuclear,
yes,
it is a kind of firewall against being attacked. And from what we have seen in the recent past,
yes,
many countries that have been talked about that they have nuclear weapons, and it is against that they are attacked, actually have not had the nuclear weapons. There is no country that we have ascertained it has been attacked when it has nuclear weapon, because look at Iraq and so many other countries. It has been portrayed that they have nuclear, but that was just a pretext to be attacked. But in genuine terms, no country with nuclear has been attacked.
Has been attacked because of the repercussions. Let's just talk a bit about how those nuclear weapons work. These weapons are very dangerous. One bomb, for example, can destroy an area with a radius of around 20 kilometers within maybe a second. Just 1 second, the initial explosion will burn an area with a radius of around 20 kilometers.
That's too dangerous.
Now imagine. And that's why we don't even regard them as weapons of choice for a Muslim army, because they destroy indiscriminately. And for us within the Sharia, we don't accept killing indiscriminately with the reason of war. So war permits you to kill, but you are only permitted to kill active combatants, meaning if you go into a war and there are women there that are unarmed, there are children, there are old people, all those are outside your scope of possible attack. So you can see that even when we are permitted to defend ourselves, the rules are quite stringent. You are supposed to control yourself. So you don't therefore see how you can use a nuclear weapon in a war that is permissible within an Islamic context, unless it now becomes an issue of last resort and can be ruled as the
Actually, maybe throwing more light on that aspect, yes. I think there are even more stringent conditions besides the non-combatants, ladies and children, including the synagogues, including the plants. So many other things that are beneficial to the community, and they are not involved in any kind of being a disastrous fuel.
So you are not permitted. But this bomb will burn everything in that radius in the initial blast. Then later it puts out a mushroom of very highly radioactive content into the air, and that mushroom returns onto the ground and begins to cause further damage. And that damage remains on for a very long time. Sometimes it can even be hundreds of years.
Just the way Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
So meaning it is the kind of weapon that we wouldn't want to see being used. But unfortunately, around the world you have thousands of nuclear warheads stocked by all these countries that have nuclear weapons. Among them is China, India, the US, UK, France, and Russia, and possibly Israel also has, although they have not confirmed. They refuse to make confirmation of that. So they are not a public nuclear power, but the rest are public nuclear powers. So that is how that weapon works. The other issue that many countries have built, including Muslim countries like Pakistan for purposes of deterrent defense, is that they also have what we call second strike capability. So second strike capability means, yes, you have your nuclear weapons, but what if an enemy sneaks on you and drops their weapon on you? So what does that become? Essentially, you had your weapon, but it has been destroyed on the ground, so you have not had a chance to launch it.
To use it.
So what all of them have now built is capacity to respond after attack. That's what we call second strike capability. Meaning, even if you are the mainland is destroyed, you should be able to have capacity to also attack the enemy. Therefore, with that potential in place, it is not actually possible that any of the nuclear countries can now be able to wage war against one another, because there is no purpose in it. All of them have a guarantee of mutual destruction, meaning if you attacked the US today with a nuclear weapon, you will also be destroyed because of that second strike capability. If you attacked Russia, if you attacked China, all of them have second strike capability, including the Muslim nation of Pakistan. So that one is one technology that we can see has benefit in preventing wars. We don't look at it in terms of its advantage as a war facility.
And how does second strike capability really work?
The second, like we have said, the second strike capability doctrine is put your launchers away from the places that can be easily seen. Either you dig very deep in the ground or you have submarines. Meaning even if the mainland is destroyed totally.
So you maybe use bunkers and be able to...
Exactly. You should be able to respond, meaning either you are firing from bunkers or you are firing from submarines, any platforms that are not part of what is normally destroyed on the mainland. So that is one technology that has been able to at least defend and protect Pakistan, because there's no country that will just walk into Pakistan and do what we have seen being done in countries like Iraq and some of the others. In fact, compare Iraq and Iran if we are to look at this issue of deterrence. Iraq was one of the major military powers in the Middle East a few years ago, up to around 1990, when they made that mistake of invading the Muslim nation of Kuwait. So you can see that it was very easy for them to be attacked in 1990, again in all across until 2003, when they were finally fully attacked. But Iran, which is just across the border, is not attacked at all. The reason simply being that it's not clear, do these people really have this deterrent? Or because they all know that finally a person may not declare, but they do have. So if you just walk into their backyard, you could face a big problem. So you can see that for them, they have not been attacked easily like all the others, just because of that potential of deterrence. And that's why we are bringing the issue of nuclear weapons as beneficial in that they provide at least an umbrella that prevents a country from being unnecessarily attacked. The other technology we can look at, which has become prominent, is the issue of combat drones. Now, combat drones were initially used by the United States military as an option that makes it a lot cheaper to project air power. Because for you to purchase a combat jet or an aircraft that can do war, you need a lot of money. For example, if you are going to buy just one F-35 fighter bomber, you'll need a minimum of 350 million USD. One piece, 350 million.
That's more.
Remember, one piece cannot work alone. You can't say in your Air Force you have one jet. It doesn't work.
And the two, they are kind of, you know, besides the jet itself, it has to be having certain kind of things it carries for it to perform the work.
So you need the bombs, you need the service people, you need the whole industry just to maintain that single aircraft. So meaning, for the time being, the majority of Muslim countries have no capacity to purchase this kind of air power. So you'll find many of them actually do have very old equipment. Some of it is nearly 1960s. And unfortunately, many other countries have progressed. They are now moving to fifth generation, sixth generation, very advanced aircrafts. So how are you going to defend yourself if you are going to follow the principle of wa'iddu lahum mastata'tum? So what we have had now is the entry of drones. And the drones, so far the ones that are very popular, are coming from the Muslim nation of Turkey. Turkey was formerly referred to as Turkey.
Maybe for drone, because well, it is now a common word, but you can throw more light before you go deep into how it works. Because people need to understand the science behind the drone, the kind of unmanned aerial vehicles. How are they? How do they operate and their capabilities?
Okay, now these drones are essentially like an aircraft, but the difference is that they are not piloted by a human being sitting within the aircraft. They are piloted by a human being that is on the ground but remotely controls the drone.
So essentially, if I'm here and this is a control room, I can be able to control a drone that is going maybe to bomb in South Africa or wherever.
So that is so why are drones very critical in today's combat environment? Actually, the Ukraine war brought in, expanded the scope of what these drones can be able to do, especially for a country that does not have the resources to purchase the combat jets, like we have said. If you are attacked by a power that has a lot of aircrafts, you don't have money to purchase, the drones become the easiest alternative. So the drone technology is in such a way that I sit here in a control center. I take off the drone and I control it remotely to a good distance. We shall look at some of the battle statistics. There are drones that can move up to 7,000 kilometers away from their launch point. And they are all being produced now in our Muslim countries like Turkey. And interestingly, to buy one drone from the US, you'll need a minimum of 32 million US dollars. One drone. We are not talking of a full aircraft, we are talking of a drone. And remember, that's the drone itself. And we have said it has a control station, it has missiles, it has other things. So you will still find many Muslim countries unable to purchase this kind of defensive technology. But if we look at drones produced by Turkey, we find just 5 million.
Wow, that is,
imagine the difference.
Essentially around seven times.
Nearly 7 times the price. So TB2 produced by Turkey, you need only 5 million, and you can get yourself the entire set, have yourself able to essentially defend yourself using drone technology. Why we prefer drone technology is, one, it is cheaper. You have said the other side, the aircraft is 350 million USD. But here you have a chance of just 5 million, you have air power. It is able to carry nearly the same missiles as what we see on aircrafts. It is able to do what we call loitering. Now, loitering is very important because, for example, in countries like Uganda, where we have insurgents disturbing areas of Kasese and the others, if you have drone technology, those kinds of areas are very easy to keep and protect, because what you do, you simply deploy drones in that area to loiter. So you don't need a human being sitting in an aircraft getting tired up there. No. You simply put the drone in autopilot mode and it keeps circling that area. It can monitor.
Maybe the word loitering is kind of nagging, but we can use the one that is usually friendly, doing surveillance.
Surveillance.
So
to surveil, you must loiter. Loiter in the drone terms means to keep moving around without necessarily taking action. So this drone will therefore be able to help you monitor. Places like Karamoja, where you see people doing cattle rustling, you only need one drone or two, and that entire area will have no one doing any further cattle rustling, because essentially the drone will provide pictures. It can provide, you can even automate the attack system, but of course we don't encourage handing over decisions of life and death to machines. So we have said the TB2 drone produced by Turkey has had a very major impact. Actually, it is now one of the most popular of the drones that we know. We have seen it taking action initially in Syria. So what was happening in Syria, and that is very bad, was Syria became like a collection center of all kinds of unruly elements that would disturb each of the countries that are surrounding Syria. Either they would disturb Iraq, or they would disturb Turkey, or they would disturb whichever of the countries that are in that area.
So these are the gangs that were claiming to be either were trying to form, I think, a Muslim nation or whatever.
Claiming they are establishing Islamic states, but really a very bad agenda. So the TB2 drone was initially used by Turkey in clearing that area of all those unruly elements. In fact, it occurred in just like 1 or 2 nights. What happened was, for purposes of self-defense, the Turkish army moved into Syria to provide what is called a buffer zone. You don't allow rebels to operate very close to your border. They become a problem. So what we see is, if I don't want rebels in my territory, what do I do? So they went into Syria. Unfortunately, when they reached there, they were again attacked by Syrian forces. So in just one night, the response of the Turkish army was simply attack all Syrian units in that entire area that is called Idlib. So you wouldn't be able to do that if you are using land forces. The logistics would be impossible. But in one night, they were able to destroy 500 armored personnel carriers, etc. So they cleared that entire area of any offensive elements in just one night using drones. Fairly cheap, very effective defense systems that were used.
Well, I think we can pause from there. We are going for a commercial break. In a few minutes, we will be back and pick up from there. But when we come back, we'll be digging more to do with how this
Yes, Salam TV. Twake for our teams. Ignite your color with Plascon, proud partner of Uganda Sports. Color your world.
Better steady, be better.
By nature of who we are as a people, you want to blame someone else for something that befalls you, something unfortunate that befalls you. You scratch someone's car, you're looking for the next border guy to blame and all those kinds of things. And so is the case with digital fraud. The moment someone takes your 100K, 50K, 20K, 1 million, 20 million, you're looking out for that thief and everyone, when we're not looking at our responsibility. I mean, if you have your phone and you've not sent someone to withdraw money from it and a message pops up, and you're entering your PIN code involuntarily, you could have just canceled that message or all those kinds of things. So for me, it is also about us. We have a personal responsibility to enable digital fraud not to grow in this beautiful country where the economy is tough already and we are trying to grow despite that tough economy. So hey, be better, very steady.
Better steady, be better.
In partnership with Uganda Communications Commission, Bank of Uganda, MTN Uganda, Equity, Uganda Bankers Association, Post Bank, United Media, Stanbic Bank, and MTN Momo.
Explore, enjoy, and dance to the latest content, beats, and kawozi from Uganda and beyond. Simply go to your Play Store or App Store right now, find Afro Mobile, download it straight to your phone, and get started. Is it TV you want? Simply open the app, click on TV, select the channel you want, and watch live. Are you busy right now? Then check out On Demand or enjoy in your free time. Afro Mobile. The future is now.
It's the Premier League, all on DSTV. All the goals, clashes, and moments. All of Rashford, Salah, and Saka.
This start is getting better.
All in the language of your choice. All in HD. Available on all these bouquets to choose from. To watch on all these devices. Get DSTV with an HD decoder plus installation and 1 month family for 89,000 Ugandan shillings. It's the Premier League, all on DSTV.
Nivana wafe twenywele, nivana wafe twenywele, nivana wafe tunyola. Eish, 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 eish. Nivana wafe tunyola. For more goals, kumala kenyonta.
Nivana ajira mu cupa eza mililita 5 ku siringi 5 neza lita 1.5 ku siringi 15. Nivana packaged drinking water akolebwa Crown Beverages Limited, abakozi ba Pepsi. That's life, that's Nivana.
Yes, Salam TV.
Dear viewer of Salam TV, on this edition of the Alhidaayah show, the Monday show, Welcome back from that commercial break. We want to thank you once again for being glued to Salam TV. We went to a commercial break when we were talking about the drones that have been developed by Turkey, or they call Turkey, and where they have worked, their contributions in terms of deterring enemies. So I think, Brother Sekalima, we ended when you were talking about how they were used in Idlib in Syria.
Yes.
And it pacified that kind of place in just one night. I think you can pick up from there.
Okay, so one night we have said Syria, the problem was solved. The next point of action was Libya. Now Libya was a really problem case. Remember, Libya was attacked by NATO forces. The then President Muammar Gaddafi was killed, and the country went into a chaotic situation where there is no clear leadership. Even the government that was established and recognized by the UN kept being attacked by all these kinds of warlords coming from all over the country. So until the government officially requested for the help of Turkey, and the Turkish military did not take any
Now,
support.
which kind of government? Because then they had over 5 governments.
No, there was the UN recognized government, which was sitting in Tripoli. So they officially sat and requested for some help from Turkey. So Turkey did not even send any soldiers in there. They simply gave them help using these Bayraktar TB2 drones. So what did the drones do that changed the entire equation? One, they attacked all the surrounding rebels that were threatening to take over Tripoli. Actually, they had even encircled the city. But they were able to destroy all those rebels that were around. Then they went to their headquarters in the east of Libya and also destroyed their anti-aircraft systems and etc. So within a period of 1 month, a war that had become really a problem ended up being cleared. And at least for now, you do not hear a lot of chaos in Libya to the scale that we had just prior to the entry of these TB2 drones that came into aid a UN recognized government. And interestingly, as if it was that the UN recognized government was under attack, but it was being again attacked by some members, supported by, the attackers were being supported by some members of the UN. But at least that problem was also cleared. The other area where we see the TB2 drone being used for a positive purpose for the Muslims was in the war between Azerbaijan and Armenia. Now, those ones have an interesting situation. There's an area that is officially part of Azerbaijan, but it has very many Armenians living there. That's Nagorno-Karabakh. So that place now becomes an issue of contention. The Armenians see it near as theirs on the basis of occupation, meaning...
So it's more or less the same to do with how Ukraine is with Russia.
Exactly.
There are many Russians in Ukraine.
Exactly. So you have an area that is awkward. It is territorially within another country, but the people living in it are majority coming from the neighboring country.
And that has to be
So a war there, wars have been erupting all along, but the last time there was a major war there in, was it 2000 and what? I don't remember the exact date. The Azerbaijani government purchased TB2 drones. So these TB2 drones were able to destroy nearly all the equipment that the Armenian army had come with. And remember, drones have cameras. They use the cameras for attack. So they also provide a psychological effect in that you can't deny that your equipment has been destroyed because the destruction occurs on a camera. So they record your equipment being destroyed and then they distribute on social media. So you can't even come out and say, no, they are deceiving, because the pictures are very clear. They show your equipment, your men being destroyed by these drones. So within a very short time, that war came to an end with the defeat of the Armenians, and it has not come up again. So what was to be a hot spot where people are fighting all the time now has become a stable location. No one comes there to attack because of the potential of the TB2 drone. So these are all areas of positive contribution of these attack drones, which we have said they cost just a mere $5 million USD.
And
so
I
even
think
a
they
country
have
like
been also used in Ethiopia.
So Ethiopia also used them, but there we may not talk of it as contribution positively to the Muslim community, because there we don't have a majority Muslim. So we are focusing on how has this technology been of help to societies that are principally Muslim. So therefore, we see this drone now becoming a weapon of choice for a number of Muslim countries. Of recent, we have seen countries like Kuwait, countries like Qatar, even our very rich and capable Saudi Arabia is now purchasing drones. Now, Saudi Arabia is purchasing the next version of these Turkish drones. It's called the Akinci. The other one was TB2. Bayraktar TB2 is the cheapest. It can be bought by nearly any country. I think even Uganda can purchase one.
Rwanda has one.
You see,
I think not one, but it has.
It has good, because 5 million you can be able to provide yourself with a good umbrella, especially against insurgents. Because remember, insurgents don't maintain bases that you can come and attack, and they simply move around randomly. So if you don't have loitering ability, capacity to do reconnaissance of a large area without the need for soldiers moving on the ground, it becomes very hard for you to deal with these insurgents. So the other drone which is being produced by Turkey is called the Akinci. Now the Akinci is more advanced than the TB2. Of course, it means you need some more money. So that's why Saudi Arabia and some of the other rich ones are the ones that are purchasing it. For example, this Akinci has a capacity of carrying up to 5 tons of weapons, meaning you have a really big capacity. Then it has a range of 7,500 kilometers. So that's a very long distance. You can be able to fly that equipment.
So meaning, if we are talking about now from this studio, it is past Africa. Actually, in the north.
Yeah, you may even go beyond North Africa. But you are here and you are piloting that aircraft at that distance. And with all this payload and a good speed, it has a maximum speed of 361 kilometers per hour, nearly the same as a normal civilian jet. So these are all equipment that have been produced, moreover affordably. So all countries within the Muslim world that were originally not able to purchase air power, so they would stay in a very undefended situation, now have a chance of at least having this equipment in an affordable and moreover coming from a friendly source, because that's the other challenge. You can be buying equipment, but you are buying equipment from unfriendly sources. The person selling you the equipment is the very one who is again doing some of the attacks on you. So it becomes very hard for you to survive. But now at least you are sure you are purchasing equipment from a friendly source, and the equipment is effective and
we have had the cases where some of these countries have paid especially US and maybe France and other allies, and they have not honored. So meaning, because they have in quotes, you are not in bidding with them, even when you have paid full amount, they don't deliver. So
yes, because you see, arms and armaments are a very critical thing in establishing even political balance. So usually the governments in those countries that produce arms control what can be exported, even if the companies themselves that produce the arms are actually not public companies, they are private companies. But before they can export, there must be approval of either Congress or some of the other political units.
But again, this, in my view, well, it really differs from what they are doing. In my view, just like we have things that we cannot say, this can be totally privatized, just like in our country. You can't say that we privatize water. We can't say we privatize essential things like electricity and the roads and the like. These are very basic essentials for the day-to-day human being. So something that is just that disastrous, you cannot leave it in the hands of people who are looking for money. So essentially, private company shouldn't be the one handling this. It should be under governments.
Well, ideally, they try to control, because like we have said, the private company cannot export except with approval from the government. So that's the control they do. Because you see, the kind of investments needed to come up with these innovations are really large, and that's why we are saying even within the Muslim world, so far it is only Turkey that is able to produce drones and fighter aircrafts. So the rest of the countries just have to buy. You need to spend a lot of money in order just to make the research needed to come up with these equipment. So in that case, you instead of spending a lot of public resources on that, it's better you drop it to the public sector.
I think Iran has got some kind of survival techniques in a way that it may not need necessarily to do all that kind of research. If you come and you are spying, you are retailing in its territory, it will bring down your drone and be able to replicate it in a few months.
Replication is also very difficult. Actually, for us who do software engineering, in some cases it may be easier for you to build a new thing than finding someone's already built thing and you have to study it, because people can complicate things that are simple. You may find a person is just trying to make a corner like this and he does a lot of complicated things. So you think this is a major innovation, yet he's just making this corner here. So that is what we find. So the other combat system that we find being produced by the Muslim nation of Turkey is the KAAN, which is the latest addition to their high-end equipment. So this KAAN is a fully fledged fighter jet. So why are we talking about this fighter jet? One, it is nearly the very first within the Muslim world for a country to produce a fighter jet. But this fighter jet is also...
So it is in the ranks of the F-16.
So this fighter jet, its advantage is that it is within the ranks of the F-35, which are stealth jets. What we call...
To a level of F-35?
F-35. What we call a stealth jet, you see, when an aircraft is flying in the air, you can be able to detect it from the ground by sending some waves in the air.
Yeah,
so all what we call up to fourth generation, whenever you send waves, you can be able to see the aircraft on your, what we call a radar, some kind of monitoring screen. So what has been done by a number of advanced armies is that you reduce the capacity of this aircraft to return that signal back to the detector. So what happens is that a whole aircraft like this can be built in such a way that when it receives those waves, they simply bounce off and it returns to you a very small signature like that of a bird. So you who is monitoring here, you see as if, that's just a bird. Yet in actual sense, it's a full aircraft. That's what we call a stealth technology, low observation technology. Because you want to be able to attack an enemy without the enemy being aware that.
So in essence, these bombers and fighter jets, they have repairing capabilities that even when you send signals, they are not able to be detected, you know, and it continues until it does its work.
So the detection can occur, but at a very short range, meaning you may find, for you to detect an F-35 that it is now coming, you may find it is within 15 kilometers. And in that case, it has already fired all its offensive weapons and you don't have capacity to answer back. But for the other aircraft, like the F-16s, you will see it from 200, 600 kilometers, where you are able to see that this is an aircraft and you can make countermeasures for it. So what Turkey has done is to also build a stealth aircraft, meaning they are now racing with like the US. The Russians also have some low observation, and the Chinese. So that is a very major breakthrough, and we pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will put barakah in these kinds of innovations. Remember, we are saying equipment of war are needed for purposes of deterrence and for purposes of self-defense. That is a responsibility on all the Muslims, that you don't sit there. You should be able to defend yourself. So if you can have deterrence like nuclear weapons, you can use that as a way of defending yourself. But if you can have equipment that make you fight better, then so much the better, and that's what we are seeing. So this CAN, which is the latest, let's read a bit about its statistics. One, maximum speed 2,200 kilometers per hour. So you can see the kind of speed Mach 1.8, very high speed. Combat range, how far can it operate? 1,100 kilometers. Now remember, the drones had the other advantage. For them, it is 7,000. Yes, it has its own issues. The speed is a bit lower, and it possibly carries less, but it has a very big range. 7,000 kilometers you can be able to operate. One thing we forgot to talk about the drones, for them, they also have automation. You can be able to set a course, feed it fully into the drone, and let the drone manage everything from taking off, going and doing whatever it does, and even returning to base without participation of a human being. So that is a major advantage. So we have seen combat range is 1,000 kilometers, which is something good. Then how off the ground does it go? It's around 17 kilometers off the ground. 17
I
kilometers.
think that is a bit low.
70 kilometers is quite high, because the drones are at what? Let me see.
Because now, if you look at these planes that we travel in, you can look at it is above sea level 40,000, 50,000. So if it is 17, then that is you know, it is that low. It can be brought down.
Yes, it can be brought down, but that altitude is also big enough. Remember, we have said this is a stealth jet. So essentially, your capacity to detect it at that distance is also very much limited. You will not be able to see it coming up to a time when it is at a very close range. So these are all things that have been produced for purposes of defense. So that picture there is of the Akinci. The Akinci is the latest drone from Turkey. We have said that drone there has the capacity to travel up to 7,000 kilometers under remote guidance, and you can see it has a lot more arms capacity. It can bear a lot of other bombs compared to the TB2. The TB2 is a fairly small one. The TB2 is that one that we are seeing. So you can see it is a lot smaller, but that small size also gives it an advantage in that you cannot easily detect it. It is near as small as a human being. If you find a human being standing just close to the drone, it would be nearly the same as a normal car. So those ones are, but that one has been the biggest participant in all these conflicts that we have mentioned, and it has been a very good addition, at least, to the defense of the Muslims in Libya, in Syria, and in so many other places, as it were.
There is also that
Khan there is the latest jet from Turkey. You can see how beautiful it appears. That one is nearly...
The beauty is in the eyes, but what it can do...
So you can see it resembles the design of the F-35. And it is a fully stealth jet. Actually, that jet was supposed to have been produced by 2028, nearly 5 years from now. But alhamdulillah, they have put in a lot of effort, and they have been able to produce that jet as of this year, 2023. So that was the launch event. They launched that aircraft, and it is going to be fully operational by next year. So they have even been able to cut down. So that country is now able to produce nearly everything they need for their internal and external defense without the need for importation. And remember that all the other countries that are nearby, Saudi Arabia and all the others that have been spending a lot of money in order to guarantee some kind of defensive umbrella, they now have a chance to purchase this equipment from a trusted partner, and moreover at a far more affordable rate. So all these other countries like Kuwait and the others that were originally not having a lot of money to spend on military and defensive technology, they have now a chance to buy some of these high-end combat jets that are produced by the friendly nation of Turkey.
And it is really a good breakthrough.
So this is just another view for that. Then they also have helicopters, attack helicopters. That T-129 attack helicopter is also produced by Turkey. So it has nearly the same design as the Apache, which is one of the very best coming from the US. So it is there. It has capacity to do a low-flying combat mission, and it is all able to provide that defensive umbrella that we are talking about. So meaning these technologies would not have been possible if these countries had not invested properly in the area of science and technology. That's why we are coming up with these shows. We are saying let there be participation, because the benefits are there. Otherwise, sitting down and merely consuming what others are producing, it does not work. Because they can easily stop you and tell you, no, we are not. You see that TB2 drone was originally using targeting systems coming from Canada. Now a time came when the Canadians said, no, we are not going to give you.
Even when you have your cash.
No, we don't want, we are no longer supplying targeting system. But the good thing, they had anticipated that these people can easily turn around and say we are not supplying, so they simply fitted on their own targeting system, and they found they work in a good way. So meaning, for you to be able to defend yourself in a reliable way, the only way you can do that is when you have trusted suppliers. And that's why we're saying we now have the friendly nation of Turkey, which has done all these investments. It's really high-end technology. It requires a lot of resources and effort, but alhamdulillah, they have been able to put that together, and for purposes of defense, at least all this technology is now available for the majority of Muslim countries that have some money to spend.
Okay, thank you, Brother Sekalema. At least today's program, we've had really things to do with technology and things to do with going into combat zone. They are things that are usually not characteristic of the Muslims, just like we have seen in the program. So I think you can have your parting shots. We are run short of time.
Okay, so for our viewer there, we are saying these technologies that we have discussed today are available now and are fully within the hands of the Muslims. Of course, we are not promoting warfare. What we are saying is that the religious system of Islam commands us to prepare and defend ourselves. We are, however, prohibited from any attack on people that have not attacked us. Neither are we permitted to attack people that are in the non-combat category, women, children, old age people. That one we don't do. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Anfal, Ayah 60, has commanded us, وَأَعِدُّ لَهُمْ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُم مِّن قُوَّةٍ وَمِن رِّبَاطِ الْخَيْلِ, meaning we have that responsibility to prepare ourselves. Originally, it used to be something as simple as a sword, but now all other countries are busy putting out all these very advanced attack systems, and the Muslims, it is just fair that we do have options that are coming from our friendly sources, as it were. So we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the benefit intended out of these shows, and to give us the capacity to also participate in a way. We have been talking only about Turkey, which has done all these maneuvers, but we hope that the effort for investment and research and development in science and technology for all these other beneficial purposes should be able to continue, so that we see a lot more other countries participating, inshallah.
Barakallahu fikum wa jazakumullah khair, Brother Sekalema, for leading us in this program. I was just wondering how really it is sad to look at some pictures when I look at Israel when it attacks Gaza and West Bank. And it is so disturbing that you see somebody, an Israeli soldier, is holding a machine gun, LMG and everything, and a Palestinian or whoever, maybe a child, is having a stone. So, I mean, it is just perplexing. So, I mean, if there are some kind of deterring technology like this, then I think Israel cannot continue with the kind of havoc it does in the West Bank and the other countries. And just for record, as we wind up, we are saying we are not commanded to be offensive.
Yes.
We are only commanded to be defensive. Just in the event that we have been attacked, we should be able to defend ourselves, our rights, and our territory. So whatever development that we have achieved as Muslims in the Muslim world, it is intended to debar the kind of attacks that should be directed to us. And progressively, if we can be like that, perhaps and perhaps we can be able to have our Muslim countries get peace, kind of lasting peace. We shall be ending here for today's program. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Eno ye Salam TV.
Adhan ngekutuswako.
Hotel Africana. Come as a guest and leave as a friend.